This video is brought to you by Cracks Only. Check out the link in the video description below to get to their website and check out their latest products. Trust me, you do not want to miss them.
What's going on, guys? Good morning. Welcome back to United View. Hope everybody is doing very well, having a good Thursday morning. We are back with another transfer view in a month where not too much transfer news is going on when it comes to incomings at Manchester United, but certainly there is some news when it comes to outgoings. We're going to be getting into that. As always, this morning, talking a little bit about Anthony Martial rejecting offers possibly to leave Manchester United, with a bit of a last-minute update as well from Fabrizio Romano. So we're going to be chatting about that. Jadon Sancho has touched down in Germany, in Dortmund, ahead of his loan move being confirmed. We got the here we go yesterday. A few extra details on that. Plus, Sancho has re-emerged seemingly on social media, or is at least preparing to re-emerge on social media. So we'll be chatting about that. Hannibal Mejbri is nearing a Manchester United exit as well, seemingly on a loan move to Sevilla. Maybe Everton could make a last-minute hijack for that move as well. But there's some other interesting details when it comes to Hannibal's exit from the club as well, because it could possibly be permanent, but we could have a buyback clause. Also, we're going to be talking about Joe Hugel signing a new contract and a possible loan exit for him. So there's plenty to get into, as always. But first, this video, this stream, this show is proudly brought to you by Cracks Only, big LA-based brand that we collabed with in the summer. You can go there, you can get your shirts, you can get your hoodies, you can get your hats, all kind of hats. You just saw the video before we even started there. KG was there in his bucket hat in the summer. Your socks, it's a big emerging brand as well. A lot of the MLS players in the United States repping Cracks Only as well. Soccer players, if you will, repping it as well. So if you wish to check out their catalog, you can do so. Links in the video description, and we thank them for sponsoring this show. How is everybody doing? We all doing good? I hope we are. See what people are saying here in the chat at the moment this morning. You got Daniel Luciano says, morning Owen, big up UV fam. You got Kristen's in the chat as well saying morning all. We got Starlord in there with the bomb emojis as well. Loads of people in the chat here this morning, so appreciate that. If you haven't already, click the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right hand corner. You know what to do. It's a busy couple of days for Manchester United. It's a busy couple of days when it comes to United View as well. We got so much stuff coming up. We've got a lot of Tottenham Spurs videos coming up. We got combined 11s, we got fan clashes, we got match previews. Keep an eye on the sidebar and stay tuned, because we may just have a clip from one of the upcoming shows as well here on the Transfer View. So yes, and as always, let me know where you're watching from and what the weather's like. It's freezing this morning where I am here in the UK, but it might not be for you, and it might not even be the morning. When we say morning, we hold up the cup of coffee. Some people around the world are going, you taking the mick? It's evening for me, so let me know, as always. Joe Blackman's in the chat as well, says Martial's going to leave on a free 100%. Let's get into it. Let's get into the Anthony Martial stuff. So a lot's been going on with Martial, and I don't like to be that guy to say I told you so, but I bloody told you so, because when this stuff was coming out about Anthony Martial a couple of days ago, it was the transfer I did with Flex, and there was a report suggesting that Fenerbahce were possibly interested in taking Anthony Martial on loan, even though he's got 6 months left on his contract. I was looking at that going, this doesn't make any sense to me. And the reason it didn't make any sense to me is because Anthony Martial's on 250k a week. Why would, first of all, would he go out on loan? Why would Fenerbahce just go, well, we'll just wait till the summer, get him on a free, or we'll just buy him for nothing? Now, anyway, a loan makes 0 sense at all. But just in general, why would he leave when he realizes my next contract isn't going to be for 250k? While it would appear maybe there have been some advances, but Martial said, no, I'm not leaving, or certainly I'm not leaving until the summer. The Athletic are reporting, you can see it on the screen right there, a story from Mark Critchley, saying Manchester United forward Anthony Martial has rejected approaches from Marseille, Fenerbahce and Saudi Pro League sides and intends to remain at the club until the summer. Martial, 28, is out of contract at the end of June, meaning that from January 1st, he has been able to speak with foreign clubs about a pre-contract agreement. United say they have not been approached by any clubs regarding a move for Martial. The Athletic reported last month that United do not intend to activate their option to extend Martial's contract by a year and will allow him to leave the club as a free agent. The France international signed a 5-year contract in 2019, which contained that 1-year club option. Manager Erik ten Hag said last week that United were, quote, talking with Martial about his future, but the club later clarified that such talks will by no means lead to an extension, which is, if you watch the press conference shows, I mentioned that at the time. Nevertheless, social media, of course, went into meltdown. We're keeping Martial! What are we doing? Why are we keeping Martial? It's one of those ones where you go, read between the lines, use media literacy, because definitely we're not keeping Anthony Martial. If we were, they'd at the very least triggered that option, or there'd be stories to suggest he was going to stay. Anthony Martial certainly doesn't look like he's going to stay. But what's quite interesting about this is just before we went live, we saw this from Fabrizio Romano. He posted the following saying, Anthony Martial has never been discussed as an option for Marseille. Club didn't reject anything as negotiations never took place. The situation around Martial remains quiet so far. No talks taking place over a new deal at Man United. So certainly everyone is seemingly saying the same thing when it comes to Anthony Martial, is that no new contract is being offered, no new contract is going to be taking place. As you can see on the screen right there, his contract expires at the end of June. United do have the option to trigger it if they wished to trigger it, but they don't intend to, meaning Martial's days at Manchester United certainly are numbered, and he's not going to be offered a new contract. This is why, when we were talking about Martial the other day, Flex and myself, and those reports were coming out going, maybe Turkey might be interested, Fenerbahce, or he could go back to France. I said, to be honest, and sometimes we don't think of this as football fans. Sometimes we just think, why wouldn't you want to be playing football? Why wouldn't you want to be playing regularly and all this kind of stuff? But Manchester United only have themselves to blame for these kind of situations. Manchester United put someone like Anthony Martial on 250k a week, and it's not necessarily doubting his talent or his ability. Anthony Martial is a very good footballer. When he was playing last season, Anthony Martial scored goals and got an assist. But the issue, the crux of the issue for Anthony Martial is the guy hasn't completed 90 minutes of football in about 3 years. How on earth can that justify being on 250k a week? And he's not naive. He knows that as well. He realizes, look, unless I go to Saudi in the summer, which might be the case, in that case he might get 250k a week. He might get even more. But he's not getting in Europe anyway. He's not getting 250k a week from anyone else. He's just not. He is not getting that anywhere else. So from his mind, he's thinking, right, this what he might be thinking, of course, can't get into his brain, but he might be thinking, I'm not going to get this money anywhere else. I'm just going to set out my contract. I'm going to make my money, and then I'm going to leave. Phil Jones style. I can't believe I'm on this deal. I shouldn't be on this deal. I know I shouldn't be on this deal. This is mental. I can't believe they offered it me. But, okay, I'll take it. It's written down. It's on paper. It's been certified. I'll take it. And maybe in the remaining 6 months, I'll try and work on my fitness. So whatever my next move is, maybe I can play more football. Maybe I can complete 90 minutes for the first time in 3 years. But ultimately, this is the club's doing. And this is why when we have this conversation in summer transfer windows and we make these signings, and sometimes the report comes out about the contract that they've signed or how much Manchester United paid for the certain player, these very reasons are the reasons why I push back at people that say, it's not your money, why do you care? This is why I care. This is why money and spending has to be scrutinized when it comes to transfer fees and it comes to contracts, because eventually it all comes back around. Just like life, eventually it will come round, it will bite you in the arse and you'll go, ouch, that hurts. What did I do that for? Manchester United right now have to deal with the sins of the past. And one of the sins of the past is giving Anthony Martial this really big contract, and he's got fitness problems, he's got injury issues. And this is why when we talk about Rafael Varane, it's the same situation. 340k a week for someone that has been playing more football than Anthony Martial, certainly, but at the same time still has injury issues, still has fitness issues, and just in general, we need to bring these down. And we've seen this same sort of mistake happen so many times at Manchester United, haven't we? With players that sign a new contract, big wages, and then when they've got about a year left or 18 months left, United think to themselves, right, we don't really have any plans on keeping these players. We've realised we shouldn't have given them that contract that's on that high wage. We're going to try and get rid of them. And every single time they try and get rid of these players, whether it's Martial, whether it's whoever it may be, whether it's a Phil Jones, remember when he was linked to Bordeaux, or whether it was, even Lingard, although Lingard did have options reportedly, United just decided not to do anything about that one. But so many players, we've given these big wages out, and when it comes time to selling them with a year left, we can't do it, and they just go, we'll just wait, and we'll leave on a free. And there have been so many players that have left on a free. And you know what the crazy thing is, thinking about this? I was thinking about this when I was prepping this morning as well, is that a name that gets brought up as someone that left on a free again is Paul Pogba, right? Left on a free, re-signed him for, 100 million euros, and then left on a free again. What people forget, and this is like the madness involved in Manchester United, this is the madness involved in United handing out contracts, is I don't know whether or not this has been completely, found out to be totally accurate, but there was at one point a contract offer on the table for Paul Pogba, right? And given everything that's happened since then, and I'm not just even talking about, the alleged doping stuff and all that, but I just mean that when he went to Juventus, he didn't play for like nearly 10 extra months or nearly 12 months. We offered him another contract. We could have been in that situation with someone that allegedly, one of those contract offers could have been in excess of like 400k a week. You think about that. How crazy is that? We could have been dealing with that issue where we offered yet another long contract, huge wages, and they'd be injured for ages. What is kind of like the talent foresight when it comes to all of these contracts? It's madness. It is absolute madness. So in one breath, when it comes to Martial, you see this news and you go, well, that's a bit frustrating. There had been sort of murmurings that maybe they want to try and get him off the books in January. And maybe they would try and fear up some wage. And maybe that would allow us to get a striker on loan. And I still do think we'll try to get a loan in January. But I don't think any of it's going to come from Anthony Martial. And again, on sort of the flip side of it, I don't even know if I necessarily blame Martial for sitting there and just going, I'll just see my contract out. It's a lot of money. And he knows he's not going to get anywhere. And he's been through the ringer in the last few years when it comes to fitness issues and what have you. So it's all on the club. This is why sometimes we focus a lot on like the player, and go, why shiny ambition? How dare you? Why you should just leave. He is going to leave. He's just not going to leave in January. And I don't necessarily blame him for digging his heels in and being like, your fault. You gave me the contract. You didn't force me. You didn't make me sign it under duress or anything like that. You gave me the stupid contract. But, can't blame him for it. As 1-2 says there, fuming he's staying, but can't blame him at all. I don't know if I'd say fuming, but you know what I mean. It's on the club. That is the club's fault. That is the club's doing. That is Glazonomics, and that's the kind of thing that you would hope with Ineos taking over Football Matters, that they take control of. The contracts are out of control. We've got the highest or one of the biggest wage budgets in the league, and it's not reflective of performance or just in terms of how good a lot of the players are as well. And it needs to be fixed. You even look at, like, for instance, the Antony contract. Talk about the transfer fee, £85 million, which, again, when you say it out loud, is crazy. But the guy was on, what was it, like 20k a week at Ajax? He's on 200 at Manchester United. When like the agent brings that up, if whoever did that, if it was Anthony's representatives, what kind of package are you looking for? We're thinking around 200. Who says yes to that? Who goes, what? What are you talking about? What? I don't get that. So I don't understand. Chalaboy Comics says, nah, that doesn't make sense. Martial going out on loan would achieve the same thing as him staying at United. He would earn the wage regardless. Can't say his wage is a motivation of not leaving on loan. The problem is with that, Chalaboy Comics, I don't necessarily disagree with that, but you have to then get a club like whoever it may be, Fenerbahce, Marseille, apparently the links weren't there, someone to pay a fraction of that. And they're going, no, why would we do that? So then you're left with the situation from United going, do we literally subsidize him just to go out? Do we basically have him go out on loan completely for the sake of getting just 10% off? Because there's no point, and also when it comes to the move in general, the player can turn it down. Player can turn it, no, I don't want to go out on loan. I'm just going to stay here. So the player's in control of all of that as well. So for me, Martial's going to go in the summer. His contract's not going to be extended. That's that's certainly the word we've had for weeks. That was my feeling when Ten Hag said it in that press conference a couple of weeks ago when people freaked out. I think Ten Hag wanted to give Martial a go last season. And very quickly, he found out really what the situation was. Because I think that last season with Martial and that fitness record, that injury record was it's madness. and you can't, again, doubt the talent of him because he is a very talented footballer. Last season, the fact that he didn't complete 90 minutes and he still had the amount of goals and goal involvements that he did was remarkable when you think about it, because he would play, score or get an assist, not complete the whole match, and then he would vanish. He would vanish for like 6 weeks or 2 months, and then just come back and you go, what happened? Oh, he had a knock, or he had an injury. What happened? And when I just think about his sort of future career, because he's not young as well, this is what's kind of remarkable too with Martial. He's 28. He should be coming into his prime at this point in time. And the amount of injuries that he's racked up in the last couple of years is really alarming. And they're all different kind of injuries as well. It'd be one thing if it was just the same injury and it was constant and you would go, wow, that's really unfortunate. Hopefully they can get that fixed and he can kind of put that behind him. But it's always different kinds of injuries as well. It's his knee, it's his back, it's his hamstring, it's his calf, it's his Achilles, it's his groin, which gives you the impression that just, again, either the body's breaking down or I don't know. I don't know. Maybe this United medical staff don't know how to handle Anthony Martial. But it's just all of the above. It's just mismanagement. It's mismanagement when it comes to the contracts. It's mismanagement when it comes to, Martial early on in his career in terms of injury prevention as well, which has led him to this point too. Everything. That could just be the buzzword for today. Mismanagement. Totally. But also, you need to know when to, as I keep saying, cut bait and just move on. It's time to move on from Anthony Martial, and it's time for Anthony Martial to move on from Manchester United. I know there are still people out there that are like, no, he's still good. He's still good. Martial's a good player, but if you keep getting injured, if you can't, the prerequisite, I would think, of being a top-level footballer is the ability to complete 90 minutes at least once in sort of 3 years. If you can't do that, you definitely shouldn't be on 250k a week, and you certainly can't be at a club like Manchester United. I mean, I kind of feel crazy having to say that, but that's the situation that we're in when it comes to Anthony Martial, certainly. Super chat here from V33, who says, Martial is the kind of disease culture festering at Manchester United since Fergie left. This is on the board. These festering craps are passed on to new managers. Well, I think, I wouldn't call him a kind of disease or anything like that, or festering craps. I would certainly say, as I've mentioned before, that Anthony Martial, look, some of the media stories on him has just been, so nonsense. And he's an easy target and has been an easy target. And sometimes when we lose football matches, people start talking about Martial when he either hasn't been playing or he played 45 minutes and he did okay and got taken off. Martial. And you go, that's not on Martial. He's an easy target, or he's his face. Remember Tim Sherwood when he was sort of said, his attitude because his face annoys me. And he's got, it's just lazy. It's just lazy. It's just bad. It's just bad analysis. And he has been at times unfairly scrutinized, I think. But at the same time, sometimes some of it has been justified in terms of the criticism of he can't play football matches. He can't keep himself fit. You can't rely on him. And eventually you have to just go, right, enough's enough. Can't be on that wage. Can't be sticking around. Got to find someone else that we can get for maybe cheaper. Or if we get someone that's on that kind of wage, they have to be available every single week. And they have to be putting the ball in the back of the net every single week because they're playing. So it's not necessarily doubting his quality. It's just about going, he's been at the club for, 8 years at this point? 9 years nearly. Time to move on. He's had his time. I would say it didn't work out. He's not a flop by any stretch of the imagination, but time to move on. And that's it, I think that he's not the problem. As I said, he's a symptom of the problem, which is big contracts, not necessarily justified, and not knowing when to move on when it comes to players. And that's it. I mean, realistically, the best time for Martial to move on would have been 2021 when he wanted to leave. He wanted out of the club in 2021. He'd fallen down the pecking order with Ollie. Ranić came in. He wanted out still. There was that whole thing with Ranić and him going back and forth in the media, on social media. He went to Sevilla. It didn't work out. But around that time, that would have been the time for him to leave. Instead, we find ourselves 3 years later, and now he's going to leave. And again, that's United and the way we operate in a nutshell. Amanor with a super chat says Martial is better than Højlund, but he's done. I would say in terms of an all-round striker at the moment, Martial is, but Højlund's certainly younger, and Højlund is playing completely more games than Martial as well, isn't he? So I don't know if it necessarily has to be that comparison, with he's better than Højlund or anything like that. It's just his time's up at Manchester United. And Zayn Miassi here has gifted out 1 UV membership. Look at this. Look at the generosity from Zayn Miassi. A rare bit of generosity from Zayn Miassi. And Keith Thomas has been gifted that membership. And Zayn Miassi says, Arsenal getting Benzema and Tony. Someone here screenshot this and clip this, by the way. Because I don't think that's going to happen. But unless you pay something like 100 million for Ivan Toney, because hasn't Thomas Frank gone on record several times that Ivan Toney isn't leaving, and if he is, they want to have 100 million pounds. So if you want to spend 100 million pounds twice in the same season, by all means go ahead. But I don't even know how Arsenal will be able to do that from an FFP point of view, considering they couldn't get David Raya. They had to do a loan and buy him next season to get around that. So I don't think that's going to happen. And you're not getting Benzema because United are getting Benzema, right? Benzema happening is yes. I've seen all of the accounts on social media. That's what they've said. They've said Benzema source. What's your source? Well, I just think he'd be a good signing. So there's no report we're getting Benzema. Not yet. You should just get him. Why would he come to us? Well, Man United. But he's good mates with Cristiano, and that didn't really end very well at United. Yeah, but yeah. Wouldn't he just go back to sort of Real Madrid for 6 months or something like that? Well, yeah, he would. So he's not coming to United, and there's no real sort of reports or anything like that as well. No, there's not. No. Right. Okay. Honestly, and the thing is as well, if Karim Benzema does go on loan somewhere, which look, you never know, he might. It looks like people are kind of already starting to turn their nose up at the Saudi league a little bit. We'll be like, we should have got him. we should have got him. We should have got Karim Benzema. I don't know. So that's the latest when it comes to Anthony Martial as well. If you haven't already, click the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. Before we get into the next story, I want to show you guys a clip. of an upcoming video that's coming out this evening, 6 p.m. It's going to be a combined 11. Yes, a Manchester United and Spurs combined 11 is going to be coming out with Flex and Tap-In Tobes. Now, you could say, well, how many United players are going to get in the combined 11 at the moment? You'll have to find out later on this evening. But I'll show you a quick clip of an argument between the two over one Diogo Dalot. Take a look at this.
I'm trying to see Dalot there, but I've got to concede Porro just.
Where is he? Where is he? Where's Pedro?
He is done there.
There we go. Yep. Pedro.
But let me know what you're saying in the comments, guys, because I'm not going to lie. I think out of our fullbacks, Dalot can talk to him.
He can't.
Dalot, don't do that.
Dalot
Don't
can't
do that.
size
Don't
up to
do that.
him.
Don't do that.
You know what? Let me
do. Wait to the game. I'm so glad you say this.
Let me do you a favour, right?
What?
Man United fans. Dalot is not good. He's bang average. I want better for Man United because I think there are so many right backs in the league.
He's not dead.
Aaron Wan-Bissaka is better than Dalot.
Well, nah. See, here's the thing. Here's actually, if I'm being deadly honest with you, in my heart, what I've been saying on the channel, Wan-Bissaka's the one that I want to keep because they have a unique skill set, and then I want the one to start to be better than Dalot.
Agreed.
I hear what you're saying.
Thank you.
But my boy Dalot, I have to be honest. Not just because I don't care about that. I'm saying he is actually starting to show why Eric wants him and why they give him the big deal.
Flex.
But we're waiting for him to arrive. But this guy's only been here for a little bit and you're flipping up his ass, mate.
Look how good he's been this season.
What's he done?
Playmaking, crossing, passing, defending.
All right, centre back.
I love Spurs. I love Spurs because there's just a little bit of, I say, success. But, I mean, where are they in the league at the moment? Are they fourth or something like that? Let me double check, make sure I get my facts right. It's important. They're currently in the table. They're fifth in the league. You'd think that, I mean, remember when they won the league in November? I mean, or even October. Best start ever. We're top of the league. Here we go, Spurs. And they're great. Now, this right back, Porro, not even been there that long. He's best right back in the league. It's best. Best right back in the league. Oh, honestly. Last season, let's boycott, Enoch out, Levy out this season. I've seen this, by the way, for all of this, get rid of them all this season, because they've got Werner, they're going to be signing a centre-back or whatever. They're like, we're doing great business. Oh, what? What? Suddenly our great business, we're run very well. I thought last season you would run very well. Last season you run terribly. This season we run very well. Okay. It's always funny, isn't it? Because Spurs will always be Spurs. And that's even if they beat us at the weekend. Which I actually think, as bad as we are at the moment, the game might be quite suited to us at Old Trafford. But even if they do, Spurs will always be Spurs. They always do this. They always do this. They are the biggest flip-flops. I mean, they call us flip-flops, but they're the biggest flip-flops. Oh, they are crazy. And also, they got a divine right about winning stuff. What they won. It's just, it's tremendous. It is. But certainly, again, that's coming out 6 p.m. Flex and Tobes. It's a good watch. There's also a lot of good stuff coming up this weekend ahead of the Spurs match. Of course, the Spurs match is Sunday. 4:30 kickoff. We'll be live with the match view at 4 o'clock inside UVHQ. As you can see on the screen right there, there's going to be a match preview with Flex and Abby coming out Saturday, 9 a.m. In addition to that, Friday tomorrow, can confirm, Fan Clash is back. A Manchester United versus Spurs fan clash. And what better fan clash could there be than one KG the comedian in one corner and in the other corner, Expressions. They're going to be going at it in a fan clash coming out Friday. Oh, yes. Yes, you do not want to miss that. And I have taken a sneak peek at some of the questions, and some of them are going to cause a lot of debate, which is what the show's all about. So again, Friday, check that out. Be sure to subscribe. If you haven't got the notifications on, turn them on now. Turn them on right now so you don't miss a single thing. Yes. I think I've caught when it comes to super chats. I am indeed. Let's move on to the next one, which is about Jadon Sancho. A bit of an update on Jadon Sancho. Of course, yesterday we got the Here We Go. But some more news and bits regarding his loan move to Dortmund. Seemingly he's going to have his medical today. This is what has been posted out by Fabrizio Romano this morning, saying, quote, "It's medical test day for Jadon Sancho as new Borussia Dortmund player. Clubs have already started to exchange documents for the loan deal. Manchester United will receive package of around €4 million for Sancho. Both Maatsen and Sancho join Dortmund on loan." Of course, the package involved Sancho is not particularly great, whatever. Although there's been quite sort of a lot of disputes actually about how much sort of wage is going to be covered by Dortmund. I saw The Athletic, or was it The Athletic, or was another outlet the other day saying it was going to be about a third or something like that. That's what's kind of held it up a little bit. Now, this is quite interesting as well when it comes to Jadon Sancho. Of course, he removed his Instagram account or deactivated it, what have you, but the Insta account is back. You can see it on the screen right there. And interestingly, it's back, but it's back with a profile picture of some Dortmund socks, maybe implying that he's going to do a return post very soon with him in a Borussia Dortmund kit. Of course, yesterday we got the here we go from Fabrizio Romano saying Jadon Sancho to Borussia Dortmund. Here we go. Deal in place between Manchester United and Borussia Dortmund on loan. No buy option. Understand Sancho can travel later today for the medical. That was yesterday. He travelled to Germany last night. As I mentioned, Dortmund will cover part of the salary plus the loan fee, which is that €4 million package. So the package, the sort of loan fee is €4 million, and there's going to be part of the salary covered. As I said, I think they said it's around a third, which look, I mean, that's somewhat significant. And you could argue maybe that's enough to bring in another loan for Manchester United their way. I mean, if Sancho's on, and it's sort of disputed, isn't it, as to how much Sancho is actually on. Some people say it's 350. Some people have said it's 290 plus bonuses. Either way, you could argue it's around what United will shave off their wage bill, be around £100,000 a week, something like that. And if that is the case, I would suggest maybe that's enough to bring in a loan signing this window, which I would think would need to be a striker. As of right now, all of the reports suggest that United aren't in talks of anyone, or there are no active negotiations over a striker. But United have proved in the past, this time last year, particularly in the case of Marcel Sabitzer, they can get a loan signing done in the space of a day or two. So I wouldn't rule it out. I still think that we will get that one signing, maybe two, but I think at least one loan signing. I think it'll be a striker, but the aim right now is to get all of these players out and see how much money they're left with, certainly. As far as the sort of general reaction to the Sancho stuff, I mean, Flex covered it yesterday when the Here We Go came out. I mean, I don't really know what more needs to be said, really, about Jadon Sancho and the whole situation at United. It's a bit sad, isn't it? Because when Sancho signed in 2021, when he was 21, we all hoped and thought that this was going to be a guy that was going to be at United for like a decade, and he was one of the most hotly tipped youngsters in Europe. He had done well for Dortmund, and he was an English player coming back to the country, and it was Ollie's third season as well, so we hoped that he would be a marquee signing that would really help United kick on. And it just, I mean, it's not Sancho's fault that United haven't kicked on by any stretch of the imagination, but he himself, it's just, again, it's not worked out. It's sort of, drastically failed, hasn't it? Because even prior to the falling out with Erik ten Hag and what happened this season, it's not worked out for Jadon Sancho. His first season, there was chaos at the club, obviously, when isn't there chaos at the club, really? But there was chaos at the club in the sense of Ollie was there, then he was gone. And United signed him to be a right winger, even though his preference is to play out on the left, and eventually kind of fell out of the pecking order and wasn't playing all the time. He came in, obviously, when Ten Hag came in, he did start under Ten Hag. I mean, I remember he scored the goal against Liverpool at Old Trafford last season, and we hoped that would be, okay, right, second full season at United, now he's going to kick on. Sancho's a Ten Hag player. Remember all of those conversations? Sancho's a Ten Hag player. It's going to work out really well with Erik ten Hag at United. And then, of course, he had to take the break in the winter period last year as well, and came back from that, but still didn't really hit the heights of maybe the form that we were looking for. This season, played throughout the pre-season in the false nine, and then very quickly fell out the pecking order once again for whatever issues you believe. Because every time I bring this up, people dispute it, or they say that's not true, or read between the lines. I'm not necessarily saying all of it is true, but those reports do come from quite credible outlets, and it's not just one person saying them when it comes to sort of behind-the-scenes issues, when it comes to professionalism, lateness, work rate, whatever. But clearly, in Ten Hag's mind, Sancho wasn't working hard enough and wasn't doing enough of what he wanted on the training pitch, in the training ground, and whatever. And when asked, this is still the baffling comment to me as well, is when asked, he said why he didn't pick Jadon Sancho. Didn't mention anything about him, professionally. Didn't mention anything about him being late. Didn't mention anything about him being lazy. Didn't throw him under the bus. He just said, I picked the squad based on what I see in training. At Manchester United, you have options. And then you got the reaction from Jadon Sancho. Once the reaction happened from Jadon Sancho, you back yourself into a corner, really, because the only way to come back from it is to apologise. You can't put that out there and then just, you don't say anything, you don't apologise, and you just move on. Because if the manager just kept you there after that, you lose credibility. You can be just walked over by anyone. So the situation came where he had to apologise. Sancho felt that he didn't want to apologise, despite there being reportedly talks between them after the fact. And then we find ourselves in the situation that we are right now, which is a stalemate. So it's best for Jadon Sancho to move on. Best for his career. Hope it works out. There's no buy option. But still, I don't know how I would feel, honestly, about, Sancho coming back in the summer, and if Ten Hag's not there, which still could happen. I don't rule that out, that Ineos could decide to go in a different direction. But even under a different manager, I just think too much has happened. I think too much has happened. I think that, particularly for a new manager coming through the door, what kind of precedent do you want to set? Do you want to set a precedent that, that kind of, friction can be tolerated just because you're a good player and you're a young player? I don't think so. I don't think that's the right move. I think the right move is what United are doing now, which is send him out on loan. Don't put a buy option in there, because the buy option right now would probably be relatively low because he's not had the best couple of years and he hasn't played since August. Drive up his value, and then in the summer cash in for probably not the fee that we paid for him. Certainly that was 70 odd million quid, but at least a decent fee, and we can put that into another signing and hopefully effectively use it. But it's just the latest example of sort of a big name that's come to United and not worked out, unfortunately, for whatever reason. So that's kind of how I feel of it, and I know what I know what the reaction is going to be in the comments afterwards. Why are you slandering Jadon? He didn't do anything wrong. Eric's this bold fraud. He threw Sancho under the bus. He lied about him, slandered him. None of it's true. Why are you buying into it? It's just like, it's done. Let's move on. Nobody can hurt you anymore. It's fine. He's going somewhere where he wants to go now. He's going to play regularly. He's working with a coach that got the best out of him before. He's working with a coach that, according to The Athletic, really kind of nurtured him and gave him that sort of special attention when it comes to pairing up with Haaland, and when it comes to making sure that he was on time for all of these things. And maybe that's just the case of what Jadon Sancho needs. Maybe to get the best out of him, he needs that extra, that extra bit of attention from the coach. And you're not going to get that from Erik ten Hag, or you might just not get that at a club like Manchester United. It's got to be the best environment for you to succeed. And I hope he does succeed, because I want to see him back to his best and thriving in the England squad, because he is a good player, and he was one of the sort of most highly tipped young talents in Europe. So hopefully it works out. Big Steve with the super chat says, come on community, it's not hard to hit the like button, support the team, don't worry about me. He puts his heart and soul into these streams. Show some love, people. Wow, very much appreciate that, Big Steve. Appreciate the super chat. But if you haven't already, yes, click the like button. Be sure to subscribe. And yes, you know what to do. Ash says, Owen, they were both wrong. We should focus on 10 bags decision making. This is the thing with it all as well. With that, with Erik ten Hag, I don't dispute, and this is again the sort of strange thing when you talk about Sancho. You do get a lot of whataboutisms with it. What about this? What about that? With Ten Hag and his sort of insistence to pick, say, Anthony over Sancho, I don't think anyone's disputed. Jadon Sancho on his best day, better than Anthony. A lot of people are. Anthony is, in sort of modern United signings, which there have been some, real humdingers of bad signings. Anthony I think is right up there in terms of being overvalued, overpaid, and just nothing in return, really. And I don't even really see him coming good. I just don't. So I don't dispute that. I really don't. But at the same time, again, if even half of those stories about Jadon Sancho are true, and even if you want to just park that to one side, I mean, I don't even care actually that much about those signings. Call me old-fashioned, but the manager picks the team. Manager picks the team, and if the manager doesn't want to pick you, it's up to you to try and convince him to pick you. And if he doesn't, don't go on social media and call him a liar, because you're not going to get back in the team unless you apologize. And if you don't want to apologize, then you're not. It's done. Like, it's just done. And so the sort of, the favourites, of course Ten Hag's got favourites. Very obvious. We've got like 3 ex-Ajax players in the team. Absolutely. You got Ten Hag has favourites, and he should be criticised for that. But at the same time, like, Sancho is not an innocent party involved in all of this. And I think ultimately, if you're a Sancho fan, you should probably celebrate this move because he's got what he wants. And what he wants is to go back to Dortmund, is to go back to an environment that he's happy in, that he's comfortable with, and to work under a coach that he's happy with. So it's a win-win for all of the parties. And eventually, he'll leave on a permanent. And I think that's a win-win for all parties as well. So, yes, that's kind of my thoughts on it. Again, I know people will be like, no, that's not the case, but yes. Let's talk about Hannibal Mejbri, because he is nearing a move to Sevilla as well. Let's read this from The Athletic. This comes from David Ornstein, who has said that Sevilla are advancing towards an agreement to sign Manchester United midfielder Hannibal Mejbri on loan for the remainder of the season. But there is more to this one as well, with the La Liga side have faced competition for Hannibal from Everton, but as things stand, their proposal is considered more favourable to United and the 20-year-old Tunisia international. Possible sirens? It's been a while, hasn't it? It's been a while since sirens in the chat. Sirens in the chat, sirens in the chat, sirens in the chat. And they said it would include an option to buy in the summer, which, if activated, would generate a sizable return on a player whose contract ends in 2025. There is also an expectation of the potential permanent deal featuring a buyback mechanism, ensuring that United could retain an element of control over the future of a player they regard highly. So this one is quite interesting. So the thought process is that he's going to go to Sevilla on loan. Because remember as well, Hannibal was one of these players that United triggered the extension clause in. So he was going to be out of contract at the end of the season. He's now out of contract at the end of next season. And there's no guarantee that he might sign a new deal. He might be looking at it going, right, I'm going to really see how much first-team football I'm going to play. If I'm not going to play first-team football, then maybe I should go elsewhere on a permanent. So if this loan deal to Sevilla does happen, United do retain some element of control over this situation, because they send him out to Sevilla. Sevilla could be like, okay, we're happy with Hannibal. Let's sign him for this agreed buy option. And if that one does go into effect, then United do have the buyback clause as well. So they could, theoretically, if it works out for him at Sevilla, bring him back. I don't know how much the buyback option would be. Again, that would be to be negotiated with the club. But at the same time, they could find themselves in a situation where in 12 months' time, Hannibal, it's a bit like the Hansen Aaron deal at the moment, where I don't know how much left he's got on his contract, but he's saying, I've not been playing a lot, or any first-team football. I've not been involved in the first-team squad, and I'm thinking of going elsewhere. And reportedly, there are top clubs around Europe that are all interested in him, and United might be forced to do something with him as well. So it's frustrating in one sense, because you always, whenever you see a young player leave, you go, should they have maybe been given more opportunities? Should they have been given more chances? And I've said this season, with some of the drivel performances we have put out, and when he has come into the side, I think he's done well. I think Hannibal should have been afforded more opportunities. I mean, I remember the game he played against Burnley. He was terrific. I remember the game he played against Crystal Palace in the Carabao Cup. He was excellent as well, and I thought he would get a longer run in the side after that, but he didn't really. And I thought that was unfortunate. Now, is he going to be good enough to be that kind of top-level midfielder that you can win titles with or win trophies with? You don't really know, because he hasn't had that long a run in the side. And he's not naive as well. He'd probably be thinking, right, my contract's coming up next year. I've got to decide what I want to do. Do I want to commit to United, and then there's a real possibility I'm still going to be on the bench and I'm not going to be playing that often? Or Do I want to go out on loan? You know, and because I mean, this is the thing too. With a year left on his contract, United could go to him and say, let's sign a new deal, and he might want guarantees. Am I going to play? Am I going to be involved that often? And if Erik ten Hag or whoever's doing those contract negotiations says yes, you'd be within your rights to go, I don't think I will. Like, I don't, because there's a lot of people ahead of me here at the club in terms of the midfield. We've actually got a lot of midfielders under contract. They might be injured a lot, but there's a lot of midfielders there. I mean, we just signed Mason Mount. We still got Eriksen, still got Casemiro. Amrabat's going to go in the summer, but you still got people like McTominay, Kobbie Mainoo's coming through too. So, like, there's a lot. There's just a lot of midfielders under contract still. So Hannibal might think, well, if I sign, I don't know how often I'm going to play, to be honest with you. And there's still, the jury's still out on him about whether or not he's at that top level. So I think a loan move to Sevilla would work for him. And if they decide to make that permanent, we do get some money in the summer, which for an academy player, it's pure profit from an FFP point of view. So hopefully we can invest it wisely. And then if things really, really work out for him at Sevilla and he becomes a top player because he's going to improve, I thought the difference between his sort of play was really noticeable just by having a year on loan at Birmingham. He was, this past summer, when you saw him play, particularly in that game which it was against Wrexham in San Diego, where he was playing with a lot of the sort of reserves or under-21s players, the difference between him and those players was noticeable in terms of, you looked at him and went, that's a guy that's played first-team football for a year and just looks more confident, more reassured, knows what he's doing, just looks more comfortable. And that was in the Championship. So if he were to go to La Liga, and I know Sevilla, I think Sevilla are struggling this year, and I also know as well they sell like the majority of their players, but they still got people like Sergio Ramos at that club as well. So you can learn, talk about professionalism and talk about aggression. There's a lot of aggression in that team, wouldn't there? A lot. But you could go there, learn off him. And if he really, really develops, then United have first dibs on bringing him back, hopefully for not a massive, massive price as well. So I do think it allows United a bit of control in the situation that has the potential to escalate out of control and United to make zero money. Because the last thing you want to see from an academy player that you could get money for is to go on a free. He goes on a free and then he becomes a great player. And you find yourself in a Paul Pogba situation where you go, well, if we're going to bring him back, we've got to spend a lot of money on someone that we let go for free. So United have to somehow try and retain some element of control of the situation. So it looks like he's going to go to Sevilla. Everton were in the hunt, but I don't know if those other terms that have been put out there, i.e. the buy option and the buyback clause or anything like that, have been put out there for the Everton deal as well. So we'll wait and see how that one progresses, certainly. Super chat here. Oh, no, I've done that from Big Steve. How many likes are we currently on at the moment as well, actually? We've got nearly 1,000 people watching. And we're currently on, let's take a look here. We're currently on 224 likes. So if you haven't already, click that like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. We can get to easy. I mean, technically, this is a bit of maths for me here. Let me just think about this. Let me just think. So, 1,000 people watching. Half of 1,000. Carry the one. I might have to get my calculator app out. If half the people liked, we'd be on 500 likes. There you go. Yeah, so. It might be early, but you never get past me. That's the kind of maths I'm bringing to the table. They should hire me to be the sort of head of recruitment with that kind of maths. Not bad. Not bad going. Noel Ryan says, you always want people to like you. Not me, the channel. And unfortunately, Noel, I feel like that's a lot of projection. Because I always say click the like button. I don't say like Owen. I say like United View. So I hope you get the help that you need, Noel. Because it seems a lot of projection from you. And I'm sure people do like you. You don't have to go in the chat anonymously and say that kind of stuff to people. Okay? It's fine. It's okay. It's okay. It's fine. let's move on and go to Joe Hugel and a new contract. Joe Hugel has signed a new contract with Manchester United. This came from Rich Fell. It's actually from the club yesterday, but the second half of this story comes from Rich Fay from the Manchester Evening News, saying Joe Hugel has signed a new Manchester United contract until 2026 with the option for another year. A loan move for Joe Hugel is being finalised as he looks to gain more senior experience in the second half of the season. There had been sort of some reports that possibly Burton Albion had been put out there as a possible destination for him this season. Now, it's funny actually, with KG the comedian, whenever you bring up Joe Hugel, I don't know why, I don't know why, when you bring up Joe Hugel, KG just goes, no, he's not. He's not going to be it. He's not going to be it. And the reason why is because he saw him play, obviously, in the summer on the pre-season tour. And he's like, no, he can't finish. And I'm like, how do you know that? So, obviously, KG and the scout are two different people. They're two different people. They're not the same person. But KG himself was scouting him. And KG's not convinced yet. So maybe Hugel does get this loan move and proves KG wrong. Goes down the leagues and gets 20 goals for Burton Albion, and then KG maybe will change his mind. This is a bit of a secret as well. KG's been known to flip-flop a time or two. I know, he has been known to flip-flop just once or twice. So maybe he will about Joe Hugel as well. I mean, who knows? Who knows if he's going to be anything at Manchester United? But he signed a new deal. Hopefully the loan move works out for him. Hopefully he can get some experience, and then you never know. It could work out for him there as well. So there you go. That's the latest transfer news for you this morning regarding Manchester United. Of course, as I mentioned, anything could happen in the world of Manchester United, but it doesn't look like anything's going to happen with Anthony Martial. The Jadon Sancho stuff, I'm not sure as to when they'll actually confirm it, Borussia Dortmund. I mean, maybe today or tomorrow. I mean, if he's having his medical, it might be tomorrow. So stay tuned for that. But as I mentioned, stay tuned for a lot of the build-up to the game at Old Trafford this weekend, which includes, as I mentioned, that combined 11 with Flex and Tobes that's coming out later on this evening, 6 p.m. Also then tomorrow, we're going to have that fan clash with KG the comedian facing off with Expressions. That's going to be a lot of fun. I can only imagine some of the stuff that they're going to say as well. That is going to be an all-time. I'm not sure UVHQ can kind of contain them, to be honest with you. And I'm not sure how on topic they're going to stay. It might just turn into just insults. It might have nothing to do with any of the players. It might have nothing to do with any of the questions that are going to be asked. It might have nothing to do with the game. It probably will just turn into some kind of insult back and forth. But hey, that's fun. And then Saturday as well, we're going to have the match preview. It's going to be Flex and Abby building up to the game at Old Trafford. Then, of course, Sunday, it's the game itself, full match day experience. Every time I say it, it just appears on the screen perfectly right there. Sunday, 4 p.m, we'll be live inside UVHQ. Timo Werner possibly, could he make a debut for Spurs at the weekend? Just very quickly, actually, because we've got a couple of minutes left. How is everybody feeling? How is everybody feeling about the game at the weekend? You nervous? You apprehensive? Do you not care at this point? Do you think we can get a result? Let me know in the live chat as we wrap things up. Myself, and I'll probably talk about this more when I do the press conference tomorrow, but there is a part of me that just feels like that game, as bad as we are, and we're not great. Like, I get it. We're not good, and our performances have been at points this season just horrific. And I know we even went through in the FA Cup on Monday, but just some of the individual performances, some of the play is just shocking. But I do feel like that game is kind of set up for us in the sense that they do have players missing, and on top of that, they play similar to kind of Villa. And when we played Villa at Old Trafford, it was just, they played a high line. We just kept trying to dink the ball over the top. Granted, we went 2-0 down and had to come back to make it 3-2. And Spurs are definitely just as dangerous as Aston Villa. And I think we'll probably get a goal. But I do think there is something there for us. I do think that. So I don't... Who knows with Man United, though? It could be a complete drubbing. I don't know. But I just feel like that game is somewhat set up for us a bit. And I would just love to beat Spurs because, again, they have so much confidence, and I don't know where it comes from, to be honest with you, because, like I said, they've already won the league. They already won the league earlier on this season, and now they're in 5th, and they can complain about injuries, but we can't, apparently. So I think it's going to be an interesting game, certainly. What are people saying in the chat about this is, well, Liam, we're going to do this! That is my favourite sound. I wish I would put it on my soundboard, but I don't want to steal KG's noises for all of it as well. A lot of people saying we're going to do this as well. Andy says, very nervous, but their high line might help us. Chris says, Spurs style plays right into our hands. What else are people saying? Christopher says, not wasting my time watching boring United, not even giving them the time of day. Wow. We've got... Jason says Onana will back heel the ball out from the back. Chalaboy Comics says optimistic for this weekend. It could suit us. Hopefully we apply ourselves. Gian says we should always beat Spurs. Tabaslow says honestly I'm not worried. I think the game suits us. Counter-attack suits us. What else we got here? To be fair, a lot of people are saying actually it might actually help us. Compost Smith says high line is the only time we look dangerous. Nikhil says I think Ange will not play high line. I think he definitely will. He's not going to change for anyone. He's already said that. He's never going to change for anyone. Big up Rich in the chat. He says we're going to get cooked by Spurs. Where's all this confidence coming from? I think again, it's coming from just the way that they set up. And the fact that it's Old Trafford. If it was the other way round at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, then I think we'd be like, this isn't going to go very well for us. But even when we played Spurs and we lost earlier on the season, people forget that game. That first, I don't know, it's typical United, but first 20 minutes, 30 minutes, we were all over him. Bruno Fernandes missed an absolute sitter. Like 6 yards out, header over the bar, I think it was. And, we had massive chances in that game. And we got robbed a penalty. We should have had at least a couple of them. So, for all of the praise that Spurs get, you can absolutely get at Spurs. Like, they're not this, defensively invulnerable team. Like I said, they've got injuries. The way they play, they'll create chances. And I think they'll probably score as well. I don't think we keep a clean sheet. But this sort of idea that we won't get chances in the game, I do think we'll get chances. And again, I think we'll just play the ball over the top. It's just a case of, unlike when we played Villa, can we just stay on side in the first half? Let's just stay on side, because there were so many offsides. It was ridiculous. So I think that, I think we could get him. I think we could. But, yeah. SSLD says, put Owen up front to run behind, prime Michael Owen vibes. Have you seen me? I'm not running in behind. I was always to feet. I never played out on pitch, but if I was always to feet, back to goal, hold the ball up. I'm not a pace merchant. Although I do think I could probably beat KG over 5 yards. That is an infamous that is a deep cut, an early Flex and KG quote from one of the first shows they did here on United View, with the black background and all that kind of thing, was, I think Flex said that he thinks KG could beat him over 5 yards, but that was about it in terms of pace. If someone can find that, tag me in it, or whatever. You can go up on the UV Clips channel. Anyway, guys, I'm out of it. Have a good Thursday. As I mentioned, stay tuned for the show later on this evening, 6 p.m. combined 11. And the show's been brought to you by Cracks Only. Links in the video description below. You can get all of your apparel, big LA-based brand over there in the US of A. You get your shirts, your hoodies, your socks, your shorts, your hats. Lots of MLS players wearing that, and we appreciate them for bringing you this stream. Out of it. Have a good one. I'll speak to you again very soon. Peace.